Tour de Toona 90, sponsored by the Rehabilitation Hospital of Altoona, Roaring Spring Premium Spring Water, your local Taco Bell, Dean Patterson Chevrolet Geo, and by Pepsi.
You're looking at Altoona, Pennsylvania from high atop Gospel Hill. For the next 3 days, the city will be taken over by hundreds of cyclists from all over the world. Hello everyone, I'm Paul Alexander and welcome to our coverage of the 4th annual Tour de Toona. This event started as an unsanctioned race 4 years ago that only attracted 80 riders. This year, more than 700 cyclists, some of them the finest in the world, will be competing for more than $24,000 in prize money. Tour de Toona 1990 is 3 days of challenging racing, starting with Friday's time trial. The time trial is a flat-out 4-mile sprint, rider against the clock. The strategy is a very simple one. Ride faster than the other guy and win.
The course was laid out on the southbound lanes of Route 36 between Altoona and Hollidaysburg. The start-finish line was located just south of Lakemont Park. Riders were sent out on the course every 30 seconds. Once on the course, the cyclists traveled south on the rolling hills of Route 36 to Hewitt Street in front of the YMCA, then onto Hart Street, and back onto Route 36, then returning to the start-finish line. Before the time trials could even begin, there was a lot of work to be done. Riders had to be registered and assigned numbers. The starting ramp had to be put in place, timing equipment assembled and checked. Food was set out for the cyclists, police rerouting traffic, and race marshals cleaning away debris so the cyclists would be able to ride safely. Once everything was ready, race officials still had a big job ahead, getting over 600 riders off in order, one every 30 seconds. Not all the racers got off to a great start.
Okay, Brad now's going to have to take a look at the bike. Oh, he's pulled it right out of the dropout. Right.
Once on the course, the name of the game was speed. For almost 5 hours, there was constant action. Racers starting, racers finishing. Officials calling racers to the staging area, checking and rechecking their list. Until it was their time to go, racers warmed up, some fueled up, others waited, watched, and talked with some of their fellow competitors. By mid-afternoon, racers were strung out all along the course. Area police kept a watchful eye on racers and traffic alike. Racers who had ridden earlier checked results to see just how well they had done, how others were doing. Still, the racers lined up, waiting for their name or number to be called, waiting for their crack at the course. Some asking for a little help from above, and each attacking the course with reckless abandon, knowing they did as well as they can. As the hours went by, the procession of riders continued. 2 miles straight out, 2 miles back, broken only by a turnaround in Hollidaysburg and the cheering of the spectators along the course. Into the early evening and the final few racers, and all that is left is the tabulating the final official results. The top 3 finishers in the men's category 2 and 3 division were Dirk Pullman, Jan Piper, and Charles Eisendorf. Leading the ladies were Bunky Davis, Jessica Greco, and Jan Boland, all members of the U.S. national team. In the men's category 4 race, Richard Haas, Sean Tompkins, and Craig Nivens took top spots. Men's masters, Chris Jong 10, Glenn Schneider, and Jay Gaunt lead the way. Men's citizens, Michael Miller, Norm Helm, and Gene Cappelletti finished 1, 2, and 3. And in the women's citizens division, Maria Scalzi, Kathy Steele, and Susan Beaver turned in the best times. So those are the leaders after the time trials. Jim Gregory had a chance to talk with some of them and got their thoughts on today's race and what tomorrow's road race will bring.
Traveling around the country racing weekend, every couple of weekends, whatever, I'm sure you've had a chance to see some of the riders before that you saw today, a third-place finish, knowing the competition as you may have known. Where does that sit in your mind? Is that a good finish for you today?
Oh yeah, it's definitely a good finish, and I'm pretty surprised too because I was sick for 2 weeks and I just got back now. But I'm satisfied with that place today, definitely.
What does the team say to you after a finish today like that? You had 2 in the top 5.
Yeah.
Where you battle, obviously you're battling against the clock, but competition-wise within the team, does that enter into your mind?
No, not at all. I mean, we work 100% for each other, and I'm gonna work for my other teammate, and he's gonna work for me, and I know that. And we always do that, so we don't never have any problems with that.
Who do we look for in this team to do well tomorrow? I had a chance to talk to your newest Polish member of the team. They tell me he's a monster on the hills, which is exactly what this course offers tomorrow.
Oh yeah, he's definitely good, and we're gonna try to do everything to get him to win tomorrow. And I wouldn't be surprised if he won tomorrow, because he's a real good rider. And I'm of course is gonna try to do good too.
How were the time trials for you today? Obviously finishing first in your division, possibly overall. A bit surprised considering the field?
Yeah, I wasn't really expecting to do well. The last 2 races I raced, I crashed, so I wasn't expecting to do real well at all, and I pulled one out of my hat from somewhere.
Tell me about the bike you're riding.
It's nothing real special, but the one little thing I did add, I designed and built my own handlebars and aerodynamic handlebars, and I rode them today, and they worked real well. I won, so they worked real well.
Tell me about tomorrow. You're obviously familiar with the course. Probably haven't had much of a chance to go over it. It sounds fairly intimidating.
Yeah, we heard there are a lot of hills on it. We raced down near Philadelphia a lot, and some friends of ours told us that the race was real hilly. So we're gonna go out and drive it tonight, and we're pretty used to hills, so it's not too bad.
Time trial is a race against truth, like they say, and it's really only a formality to set the tone of the race, and I think it'll be a very exciting race. The times are awfully close, which means that will make tomorrow's race pretty competitive.
Is tomorrow's course the kind of course where a member of a team has a better chance of doing well compared to somebody, maybe a team that's more well-known, a team that's been together, that can do well?
Well, I think tomorrow's race will be one of attrition. You have climbs, you have narrow roads, and I think that teamwork will become a factor, but I think everyone's going to have to dig deep inside toward the end, and it'll be an interesting race.
Where do you figure in the team aspect of tomorrow's race?
Well, our team, being the national team, is very strong. We have some experienced girls, and I think we'll do very well. I think a harder course favors us, definitely.
And so day 1 is complete, a day for speed. Tomorrow will bring a very different strategy, one of endurance and team spirit, as the cyclists tackle the challenging 75 miles of the road race. These mountains that surround the Altoona area certainly provide a very picturesque setting. It's probably a beauty the Tour de Toona racers won't appreciate much. See, once on the course, there's precious little time for sightseeing. These mountains and valleys turn into a very nightmarish series of climbs and descents.
The road race got underway at the Transportation Center in downtown Altoona, and it was off to the Juniata section of town toward Wriggles Gap. Once the riders hit Wriggles Gap, they hit the back roads and wound their way through Homer's Gap to Juniata Gap. Here's where the course splits for the men and the women. The women cut across Avalon Road, but the men had to tackle the steep climb of Juniata Gap Road to Wapsie Mountain. And it's across Skyline Drive and back down the Buckhorn. Route 36 takes both the men and women back to Altoona. They had to head out to Cannon Station and onto the foot of 10. Another tough climb greets the riders as they make their way up to the Blue Knob area, and then it's down through Newry, into the loop around Hollidaysburg. Finally, the riders can sense the home stretch. There's one more climb through Sylvan Hills before reaching Lakemont Park and the finish line. The first group of riders out were the Masters, cyclists over the age of 30. They, along with the citizen racers, would ride an abbreviated course. The first group off in search of prize money were the Cat 2s and 3s. The racers made their way through downtown Altoona, out onto Chestnut Avenue, past the Conrail shops, into Juniata. Once outside Juniata, the race began in earnest, and 3 racers quickly broke away from the pack. But almost just as quickly, the pack reeled them in. Number 17, Stanley Bunn, a California native, was the first to put a little distance between himself and the main group. He still had a lead at Warner's Corner, but the pack was beginning to close the gap. At the turn near Crafty Corner, the pack blew past the leader and headed to a loop around the Bellwood area. The pack jockeys for position for a while until 3 riders managed to break loose. They held the lead as they began to climb up Wriggles Gap and were well on their way as the rest of the pack spread through the sharp turns at the bottom. The climb up Wriggles back was long and grueling, and as you would expect, the ride down was quite a bit faster, which was good because the cyclists immediately came to Dunkel Road, Mile Hill, the second tough climb on the course. By this time, the riders were really have to work their way along. This climb took its toll and spread the cyclists apart.
With about a third of the race and 2 major climbs behind them, the men now face their stiffest challenge, the King of the Mountain at Wapsie. Wapsie Mountain stands 2,800 feet above sea level, and its winding trek to the summit will provide a stiff challenge for even the best of climbers.
After the long climb up Wapsie, Jeff Rudder emerged as king of the hill, followed by Cesar Zemana and Julian Dalby. They would be rewarded with cash prizes.
The women, meanwhile, having started an hour after the lead group, are still in the early stages of the course. The Tour de Toona is one of few cycling races that actually offers women equal prize packages with the men. That's why the Tour's been able to attract such great women. Top women like Betsy King, currently the #1 rider in the United States.
Five-time captain of the women's Tour de France team, a 12-year cycling veteran, the 1989-90 Masters World Champ. This is Betsy King, currently ranked the #1 woman cyclist in the U.S. Betsy is one of a number of women cyclists who came to Altoona to participate in the 1990 Tour de Toona. While she was here, she spent some time visiting local businesses.
Smiles here once, ladies.
Autographing t-shirts for cycling enthusiasts, and sizing up the course.
We've had several stages in the Tour de France that resemble this. I haven't raced the race this hilly since 2 years ago. It's a tough course. It's a climber's course.
Tough course, tough riders. The attendance of some of the country's top cyclists, like Betsy King, exemplify the prestige that Tour de Toona has and will come to provide.
Men have now made their way over the Buckhorn Mountain. One group reeled in the leader, then picked up speed as they headed down 18th Street back into Altoona. They will go along Broad Avenue as they head out of town toward Blue Knob. The ladies are finishing the northern third of the course, gearing up for the Queen of the Mountain climb. I'm checking out the current standings in this year's 4th annual Tour de Toona, looking for one particular couple. See, there's a couple from Hollidaysburg that has a motto. The couple that cycles together stays together. Mary Jo Powell introduces us to the Delosiers.
It could be Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Any workday in the Delosier household is anything but ordinary. That's because this picture of marital bliss was born of bicycle bliss. They met over wheels at Canoe Creek State Park.
She was leaving the park and I was just happened to be leaving at the same time, and I just asked her which way she was headed, and I just rode with her.
Now, the sport that brought Doug and Nadine together is keeping them together.
We usually get home around the same time, and we get something to eat, and we usually go ride. I'd say we ride 2 or 3 times a week together.
We've been to time trial about a month ago up near Ridgeway, and I've been down to Chambersburg and down to Reading area. They hold a lot of bike races down that area.
It's given us something to do together. Mm-hmm. Just gives us something common to talk about. Mm-hmm. We've met, we know the same people. We can talk about the same people and have the same friends, circle of friends that way.
In fact, the Delosiers say bicycling even eases their way down some of life's bumpy roads.
We can continue our fights and arguments on our rides and on our runs. And, if somebody's mad at somebody else, you can usually tell on a bike ride because they ride so much harder and you chase them down.
Of course, no couple can share everything, and the Tour de Toona is one example, as women and men follow separate courses.
Do you mind the fact that you won't be able to ride in the same category for the Altoona race?
Yeah, I think we kind of want to be together. It would be nice to ride together. It's going to put more pressure on us.
Definitely.
We know we don't have anyone. We might not be able to rely on well, we can't rely on each other for the race.
Maybe not for the race, but in general, this couple that bicycles together stays together, for better or for worse.
Yeah, you might go out on a long ride and somebody tired before the other one, and you got to keep pedaling to get there unless the other person goes home and gets the van and comes back out and picks you up. We've done that before.
If worse comes to worse, we know we'll always have each other.
You're looking at a prime example of what the cyclists have to deal with as far as terrain is concerned for the 75-mile road race. This is Dunkel Road, otherwise known as Mile Hill, and today's setting for Queen of the Mountain. Bunky Davis led the ladies to the top of the hill and captured the prize as Queen of the Mountain. And just as it had done to the men, the steep climb strung out the pack in the women's race. The evening before, in a conversation with Bunky Davis, Jim Gregory had asked her about racing in the mountains and how much intimidation would be a factor in the women's race.
We all come from the West Coast, Colorado, California, so we love those mountains.
How much does intimidation come into tomorrow's game plan?
Well, we don't use intimidation as part of our strategy, or at least...
But it's got to be intimidating whether you use it or not to some of the people that are going to be out there tomorrow.
Well, I think it's part of the ropes of being a new racer is intimidation, and that's something you have to search out yourself to get rid of. As you grow more secure in your own abilities, which you get by training and racing, then I think that goes away. And I think everyone's pretty strong-willed, and I hope intimidation doesn't really ruin anybody tomorrow.
After seeing Bunky take a commanding lead going over Mile Hill, many of the women in this race had to be intimidated indeed. From here, the ladies head across Avalon Road to Red Hill, back through Altoona, and follow the men to the Blue Knob area. The lead group of the men are already through Altoona and out into the Cross Keys section. This is a relatively flat part of the course, and although the riders couldn't enjoy it as much as they would like to, they're certainly in one of the more scenic areas of the course. Men have now made their way past Blue Knob and Puzzletown. Through Newry, they're heading for the loop area in the final third of the race. We'll be back with a finish in just a minute. After those tough climbs over Riegels Gap, Wapsie Mountain, and Blue Knob, the Newry area and the loop around Hollidaysburg will allow the cyclists to catch their breath, and they'll need to. They have one more tough climb through Sylvan Hills, and then it'll be a mad dash to the finish line.
Newry marked the southernmost portion of the race course. Leaving Newry, the race crossed a series of small dips to the bottom of Catfish Ridge. Just after crossing Route 36, they encountered one of several metal bridges they would cross during the race. If there are irregular surfaces, these could have been dangerous to the riders. This was followed by a railroad crossing where earlier in the day, one group of citizens racers had actually been held up by a train. They traveled on past St. Bernard's Monastery and up to the last of 3 feed zones. Here the riders had their last chance to get some additional food or liquids before the end of the race. Many of the riders had support people waiting with whatever items they thought they would need to help them finish the race. Meanwhile, the women, or should we say Bunky Davis, was pedaling hard and had reached the area around Ritchie Tree Farm. Bunky had built up a lead of better than 3 minutes over the next pack of women.
The cyclists at the leader of the pack so far in the Tour de Toona have invested a lot of time and effort to be the best. They've also invested a lot of money in their equipment. And after catching the Tour de Toona in person, our own Dave Bonfilio caught the cycling bug. He had quite an eye-opening experience when he met with Byron DeShong of Pedal Power in Altoona.
Okay, Byron, I've just finished watching the Tour de Toona, and I've never done any biking before, but I'd love to get involved in it and get ready for next year's race. I'd like to be in it next year. Can you set me up with some kind of equipment in it?
David, we can start you out at $200, or we can bring you up to the first-class operation.
Okay,
there's a frame.
How much is that going to cost?
$800 or $900. No wheels. But now to finish off that fine bicycle, we have a set of wheels that'll run you in the neighborhood of $200. Very lightweight, very fast. Yes. Okay. And to finish it off, you can put a tire on there. High pressure, very smooth tire, 115 pounds pressure.
How much for that?
45 bucks per tire. Now, to keep you very low and streamlined on your bicycle, we move on to the aerodynamic handlebars, which will flatten you down over the bicycle and keep you smooth, make the bike fast, make you quick. 70 bucks. High-speed pedals, 150 bucks. Shoes, 100 bucks. You need a helmet, 75 bucks. 45, 50 bucks for a shirt, 45, 50 bucks for a good pair of trousers. To keep all this stuff so no one else is going to run away with it, you must need a lock. Now the lock is a kryptonite type lock, and again you're into 50 bucks.
Byron, this is nice equipment and all, but what's the bottom line? How much stuff is this going to cost me?
$3,200.
$3,200.
First class.
What if I don't want to spend that much money?
How much would you like to spend?
How about, Byron, this is great. 50 bucks for a bike. I can't wait to see what you've got for me.
I think this will fit your budget, David.
This is my bike?
That's it.
Well, thanks, Byron.
David, I have something extra. Here's a little accessory for you.
Oh, good. A bell.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Keep in mind, those prices are for top-notch competitive equipment. If you're interested in getting involved in cycling, you can get a nice bike and a helmet for about 250 bucks, and then you'll be on your way. And on their way behind me, some of the finishers in the men's Category 2 and 3 road race. After leaving the feed zone, the men turned onto Reservoir Road, a winding road that would take them to the loop area of Hollidaysburg. Passing through this peaceful rural setting, the riders hardly appear to be working. They almost look as if they're just out for a scenic Sunday ride. Actually, they're just resting a bit, saving energy for that race finale. The lead group moves on past the Gall Lumber, where the racers turn onto West Loop Road. A rather large chase pack of men was trailing about 3 minutes behind. With about only a quarter of the race left, these riders would have to work extremely hard to have any hope of catching the leader. Now, back up with our leader. They're now beginning to pick up the pace a little bit. They're jockeying back and forth for the best position in the slipstream of fellow riders. Relatively flat and straight roads of this area did allow the riders the opportunity to grab a little refreshment. Moving swiftly through the countryside, the riders seem to be racing along with the wind. The riders continued on the relentless pace, working their way up the hills and quickly cruising down the other side. On through into the East Loop, past an occasional gathering of spectators through the twisting, winding roads. Around one more dangerous turn. Gravel! 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 Then onto River Road and into Hollidaysburg. The chase pack was still some distance behind. It was also beginning to break up, but all of them were working hard to catch the leaders. Even though every rider was giving it his best, not all of the riders thought they were going to make it.
How much further?
About 5-6 miles, I think.
The lead cyclists entered Hollidaysburg and quickly passed through the quiet streets, prepared to climb up to Frankstown. With all they had been through, they had one last hill to conquer, and they attacked it with the determination of someone who wanted to win. As they neared the top, their intensity grew, their pace quickened, they began to employ strategies to gain that winning edge. Once over the top, it was a mad dash over Frankstown Mountain, past the Heidelberg around one final curve and onto the finish line.
Tour de Toona, it's rider number 109, Julian Dalby of the Toga team.
On the ladies' side, Bunky Davis far outdistanced the competition. She finished so far ahead of her nearest competitor, she practically assured herself of the overall women's title.
There she is, Bunky Davis, U.S. National race leader, champion of Tour in the Tour de Toona.
With the races behind us, we had a chance to talk to some of the top finishers.
You know, I think that people were waiting for the first Queen of the Mountain for something to happen. They were waiting for the course to break the group up instead of somebody in the group to really be aggressive. And I didn't make a strong attack. I just kind of snuck away, rolled away from the front. And as soon as I got over the top, the roads are really conducive to breakaways because they wind a lot. And you really, once a person gets even a 10-second gap, you can't see them. And it's really a psychological disadvantage not to be able to see where that person is ahead of you. And you know, I think I had a very strong team blocking, and I knew that they would take care of the pack. And you know, it doesn't take much but a couple seconds to hesitate and somebody's gone. And you know, people are hesitant probably to chase up a mountain, you know, especially if they don't feel they're strong enough. And that's where, you know, the climbing started, and that was that. Well, it's an advantage, I think, because in this particular course you can roll just as fast, if not faster, by yourself. I know that I had a strong pace the whole way, and I was gauging the rollers rather well. And I can tell in the beginning that the pack was a little bit timid or complacent, and we just took advantage of it a little bit earlier than I think they expected. It was a very varied course. There were some good, strong climbs. Obviously, it was very scenic, although you don't get to enjoy all the scenery. And it's beautiful. It had fast stretches, and it was a great course. It was like a giant roller coaster.
Trasa była dosyć ciężka, jak na warunki amerykańskie, tu się rozgrywa przede wszystkim wyścigi na kryteriach.
Yeah, he was surprised that the courses was really very hard, because most of the races here in this country, they are pretty easy, criteriums, you know. He's really surprised the courses was really very hard.
And the day was not without its casualties. Now that the dust is settled, let's take a look at today's winners. Men's Cat 2-3, Julian Dalby finished first, 2 hours, 53 minutes, and 43 seconds. An average speed of almost 25 miles per hour over that grueling 70-mile race course. Next across the line was Cesar Zimena, followed closely by Gregory Yoder. Women's category, all Bunky Davis. She won by nearly 6.5 minutes over Jan Boland and Sally Zach. Bunky covering the course in 2 hours, 52 minutes, and 46 seconds. An average speed of better than 20 miles per hour over the 60-mile course. In other races on Saturday, it was William Carr winning the Citizens men race over Gene Capiletti and Jeff Palm. Citizen women, it was Susan Beaver coming in first, Maria Scalzi second, and Lori Molnar third. Men's Cat 4 was won by Doug Carlson, with Ephraim Starr coming in second and Nate Fry third. The Masters race for men over 30, Chris Chong 10 was first across the line, followed by Joseph Deaton and Darrell Bansett. After 2 full days of racing, let's take a look at the overall leaders going into tomorrow's criterium. Men's Cat 2-3, Cesar Zimena with a slim 4-second lead over Julian Dalby and an 8-second lead over Gregory Yoder. Criterium will prove to be very critical. The top 6 men are separated by only 24 seconds. The women's overall leader is Bunky Davis with a commanding lead. Jan Boland is second. Bunky's teammate Sally Zach is third. When we return, day 3, the criterium, a combination of speed, endurance, and team effort. Criterium, the third and final leg of this year's Tour de Toona, is actually the most demanding as far as handling the bicycle. These riders have to negotiate a 1-mile loop through in-town Altoona. The course was laid out on 11th and 12th Avenues between 10th Street and 15th Street. And the part that makes this criterium unique is this S-curve at the end of Green Avenue.
Without a good support staff, many of these riders wouldn't even finish the race. They do a little bit of everything, even help the riders with their bikes.
In a race like the Tour de Toona, every second counts. Speed is all important. When a bike breaks down, it has to be fixed quickly or the cyclist has no hope of staying in the race. And that's where the support staff comes in.
Our job is to make sure that every rider has an equal opportunity to get to the finish line. If he has a flat tire, if he has a mechanical failure, if he's involved in a crash, our job is to fix him and get him back in the race.
Support crews like this one follow the packs of cyclists in the long road races, and they set up stationary pit stops at shorter races like the Criterium. They're prepared for any mechanical problems, flat tires, broken wheels, fouled up gears or brakes, you name it. The support vehicles are loaded with special tools and gear, and they carry plenty of spare wheels. By the time a race starts, the crew is ready for anything. One thing's for sure, these guys are fast.
In a Criterium-style road race, where you've got a loop that's about a half a mile, we have between a minute and a half to complete all the work, get the rider back on his bike and get him back in the race. In a road race situation where the race is actually riding away while the rider is being serviced, we've got between 15 and 30 seconds to get it fixed and get him back in.
If a racer needs a new wheel, it only takes the support crew 8 to 10 seconds to put one in place. That's pretty good. But the really amazing work is done on the fly. That's right, a lot of repairs are done when the cycles are still moving. It sounds tricky, but the experienced support crews have got it down to a science.
We lean out the window and we use special tools that allow us to hit the bolts or the nuts from any angle. And generally the rider holds on so that he's reasonably stationary while we do the repair.
Working on a support crew is a high-pressure job, but these guys thrive on the action. There's travel involved, too, and lots of it. The crews work on races all over the country, sometimes 30 or 40 a year in places as far apart as Florida and Wyoming. Before the Tour de Toona, the Atlantic technical support team covered a lot of ground.
We just finished a race out in Milwaukee called Super Week, drove 1,000 miles home, was home for 3 days, and then drove 750 miles back out to Chicago for another race, and then drove home again.
In a race like the Tour de Toona, the support crews don't get much of the glory. That goes to the racers, naturally. These crews deserve a lot of credit, though. They are mobile mechanics, a cavalry on wheels, and they help keep the race moving.
The first of the Criterium races was Citizens Women, a quick 5-mile race in which Susan Beaver won with an average speed of 21.43 miles per hour. Karen Peter was second, followed by Ruth Tucker. Next up were the Masters, 30 years of age and over. They raced for 20 miles. Top prize in this race was taken by Chris Chong 10, giving him a clean sweep in his division. The Citizen men for over 30 crowd did 10 laps. Gene Capoletti proved to be the swiftest, averaging 27.4 miles per hour. Bill Miller was second, and James Ryan captured third. The women's category was next and proved to be one of the most competitive. After racing for 25 miles, no fewer than 17 ladies were in the lead pack. When Jessica Greco touched first, she was followed by U.S. national teammate Sally Zack, and Amy Gould sprinted across the line for a close third.
Jesse has done it ahead of Sally Zack.
We've certainly seen that cycling can be a team sport. It also can be a family affair. That's what it is for the Kennedys of Altoona.
It's 5 o'clock, time most families prepare for supper, but not the Kennedys. This is the time they reserve for bicycling, now a staple of their daily routine.
I just think I wanted an alternative to the slimnastic scene.
Yeah, originally I just started off to just for fitness, an alternative to jogging and that sort of thing, but started entering into a few local competitions and got somewhat addicted to the competition aspect of it.
For Dwight Jr., fascination with cycling was inspired by Team Altoona.
Well, I used to see them riding around the loop down here during training. I would go down and watch them.
Now, father and son are part of Team Altoona, with Susan playing backup.
I go to just about every race with them, and I do try to support them, make sure they have water, make sure they have their snacks, and, you know, cheer them on.
That's the Kennedy routine, and while it may sound glamorous, it's not all fun and games.
There we go.
Probably spend 20, 25 hours or more a week on it, And that combined with my regular job and trying to keep the house up and other community activities and obligations that I have makes for an extremely busy schedule.
Well, it really doesn't take up all that much time in the summer because I have all day. But in the winter it does when I have school, because I get home from school and go to work and then ride.
I think we've given up a few vacations because it just wouldn't be practical to take the bicycles.
Quite a price to pay, or is it?
I think the benefits are far outweigh it. I feel much healthier, and I think that by being active, I'm able to give more energy to all my other daily pursuits as well.
I like competition.
Just getting out and the incentive that you did a couple miles today and tomorrow you do a few more, and it just, you know, it adds up and you just feel like you want to just try to go a little faster, a little further each time.
Now back to more criterium coverage. The citizens race for men 17 to 30 ran 7 miles. Mike Miller taking first place, 17 minutes and 19 seconds. He was followed closely by Eric Hammer and Stephen Craig. In one of the most exciting races of the day, the Category 2 and 3 men put on quite a show. They raced for 40 miles, and it was a tight race for the lead pack throughout. Zarzamana, the overall leader entering the race, only needed to finish near the top. On the next to the final lap of the race, disaster struck, taking Zamana and Team Gaetano out of the running. In the final lap, Brian McDonough prevailed to win first place, barely beating out 5 other riders. The final race of the day, the Category 4 men took to the course for a 30-mile trek. John Keister prevailed, followed by Dean Rittenhouse and Greg Hetherington. 7 great races, capping 3 great days of the Tour de Toona. We'll be back with some final comments from race winners, a look at the final standings, and some thoughts on what the future holds for Tour de Toona. Criterion provided local cycling fans with over 5 hours of exciting race action. As the racers waited for their awards and prizes, we got their thoughts on the day's events.
I really didn't have to do anything in this race, and we really wanted to use our position of having first place and second and third sewed up and get a stage win out of the situation. We came close, but Jesse has a good sprint.
You just kind of solidified yourself as the woman to beat in women's cycling. How do you feel about that?
Well, you know, I'd say there's a lot of women to beat. I think there's a good half-dozen riders that can be the best women in the country on any given day. So I'm just glad that this weekend was a good weekend for me. Yeah, it's always nice to wake up in the morning, get on the plane, and know that you had a good weekend's work.
First of all, I guess a little more of your element today. That road race, I'm sure, took a little bit out of you. How did you feel today? Obviously pretty strong.
In the beginning, I felt a little lethargic, but as the race went on, I was feeling better and better.
It's a little bit intimidating being 17-year-olds and racing some of the finest women in the country. You obviously belong, but you're a little intimidated?
Well, I've been racing against them since I was 13 or 14, and I just take it as a learning experience because to race with people like Sally, Zach, and Bunky Makaitis who've been racing, you know, internationally, and that's just try to learn from them mostly.
How was the Criterion course? I know you were real fond of the road race course. How was this course for you?
Oh, I loved it. I like a lot of turns like this, and it's fast and exciting. I'm happy, but next year I'll come back in better climbing shape, hopefully, so I can do better in the road race.
Well, it's great to have won the race overall. It's a great atmosphere down here. There's plenty of support from the crowd, and the weather was good, so it's just great to be here. I knew somebody had fallen behind me, so I just put my head down and went, and I didn't look for half a lap to see if it was Zimanis or not, and when I looked, he wasn't there, so I just rode as hard as I could to the finish. I certainly will. This is good money, good crowds. It's got everything here in Altoona, so I hope to be back.
So here are the final standings for the 1990 Tour de Toona. Men's Cat 2 and 3, it's Julian Dalby in first by 9 seconds over Michael Horner and Frank McCormick. Julian Dalby walking away with $920 of the $10,000 in prize money. The women's overall winner is none other than Bunky Bankitis Davis. Jan Boland is over 6.5 minutes behind in second. Bunky's teammate Sally Zach finished in third. For her efforts this weekend, Bunky will take home $1,110 out of the $10,000 prize offered. The Cat 4 winner is John Kaiser, followed by Mark Huber and Ephraim Starr. Making it a perfect 3-for-3 weekend in the Masters division, it is Chris Jong 10 coming in first, followed by Joseph Deaton and Darren Benson. With all the races over and the prizes awarded, it's finally time to take a little bit of time out and reflect on this past year's event.
Actually, I have not received any bad comment from any racer on anything about the Rehabilitation Hospital's Tour de Toona in 1990. Everything was extremely positive. Had a lot of people come up to me and say, this is one of the best races I did all year long.
I don't know that it'll get much bigger. I'm not sure that we can look at handling something much bigger. Different and better, I think definitely is in line. We can look for some additional categories. Hopefully, I think we want to look at bringing in a division for junior racers, USCF licensed riders 17 years and younger. We got a lot of comment that there should be a junior event. We wouldn't put them out on the same difficulty, of course, as we did with the senior riders, but that's one area that we want to look at.
It's hard to believe that they say next year's Tour de Toona is actually going to be bigger and better than this year's edition. This year's was certainly big and good. I know everyone here at TV10 had a great time with this 3-day event. It was 3 days of exciting cycling and exciting work to be done with all of the great racers and the great competitors. None of us will forget Bunky Davis and the U.S. women's national team that really added some class and added some excitement to what has become one of the bigger sporting events here in central Pennsylvania. But before we go, our cameras caught a lot of exciting footage and a lot of exciting moments and emotion. So we'll leave you with a little bit of that. But before we go, I have to say thanks to all the folks at TV10 that worked so hard in putting this show together. So for them, I'm Paul Alexander saying good night, and we'll see you at next year's Tour de Toona.
There we go, we're underway.
Tour de Toona 90 has been sponsored by Taco Bell, Dean Patterson Chevrolet Geo, Pepsi, the Rehabilitation Hospital of Altoona, and Roaring Spring Premium Spring Water. This has been a WTAJ TV sports presentation.